Gavus is an awakened, intelligence-based mage-class hero from the Celestial faction who specializes in dealing damage but also has some supportive capabilities for his teammates. And in today's video, we're going to take a look at his skills and abilities, his teams and uses, and whether or not it's worth investing in this hero. So let's get into it. His ultimate ability is Orders Ruling. Now, this is broken up into a passive and active portion. Passively, he has 3 rules which will be tied into his 3 other abilities. The first one is no damage can be dealt during his entry into the battlefield. The second one is enemy heroes cannot harm Gavus unprovoked. And the third one is the deaths of enemy heroes must follow a certain order. Now, we'll learn more about these rules as we go, but whenever one of his rules is violated, he gains 50 energy, and this can be procced by each rule up to 1 time per second. Another passive effect tied into his ultimate is that his normal attacks will change based on the state of the battlefield. Basically, his scales are going to gauge the battlefield every 3 seconds, and depending on which side has dealt more damage will depend on his basic attack ability. If his side has dealt more damage, then his normal attacks are going to deal damage to the enemy with the highest cumulative damage. However, if the enemy side has dealt more damage, then his normal attacks are going to heal the weakest ally instead. When actively used, his ultimate is going to deal heavy damage to the single enemy that has dealt the most cumulative damage, and if he is fighting alongside Eugene, then he will deal an additional 3 hits of AoE damage based on Eugene's attack rating. His next ability is Rebirth is Inviolable. For this one, at the start of battle, Gavus is going to slowly descend to the battlefield, and during this time he cannot be targeted, and damage dealt by enemies and allies alike will be reduced by 90% until he lands. Next is the ability Life Cannot Be Usurped. Now, for this one, when an allied hero takes damage from an enemy hero other than the one directly opposite their starting position, the damage they received is going to be reduced by 15%. Then we have Death is Order in Chaos. For this one, after he enters the battlefield, he will determine an order based on the enemy's cumulative damage, with the highest hero ranked as first, and that first enemy hero will share 15% of damage taken by all of their allies. For his Awakening passive Orders Truth, when his rules are first violated, he's going to gain 15 magic pierce points, and when the first enemy dies, that enemy that he had marked as first, all allied heroes will immediately recover 40% of their max health, and Gavus will gain 500 energy. His signature item will provide the skill ups for his Rebirth is Inviolable ability. Now, at base, while he's entering the battlefield, when an allied hero takes damage, he will gain 50 energy up to a maximum of 600. At level 10, after he has entered the battlefield, the enemy hero with the highest cumulative damage will have their energy regeneration reduced by 70% for 10 seconds. At level 20, after he has entered the battlefield, if an ally has lower HP than the enemy directly opposite them from the start of battle, then they will gain a shield equal to the difference, with a lower limit of 350 of Gavus' attack rating and an upper limit of 600% of his attack rating. And also, if there is no opposite enemy, or if they have already been defeated, they will gain a shield equal to 350% of his attack rating. And then at level 30, after he enters the battlefield, he will impose a punishment on the enemy hero with the highest cumulative damage, dealing additional damage to them. His furniture provides the skill ups for his Life Cannot Be Usurped ability. Now, at 3 furniture, it's going to increase the damage reduction effect of this ability by 30%. On top of that, allied heroes will generate 20 energy each time they take damage. However, it can only be triggered up to 2 times every 1 second. Then at 9 furniture, when an allied hero does take damage from an enemy hero other than the one opposite them, it's going to trigger Gavus' punishment, which is going to deal extra damage to that enemy. And this one can only be triggered 1 time every 2 seconds for each ally. And finally, we have his engravings, which are going to provide the skill ups for Death is Order in Chaos. Now, at 30 engraving, the damage shared by the first enemy hero is going to be increased by 30%, and their vitality is going to be reduced by 30 points as well. Then at 60 engraving, the damage taken by that first enemy will be increased by 50%. Whilst being heavily damage focused, Gavus also really does support his team well. His entry into battle, reducing damage that allies take, is very helpful in allowing different types of heroes to survive in the front row or against specific enemies. On top of that, the damage mitigation for allies being attacked by different enemies is also fantastic as the battle goes on. On top of that, the energy recovery he provides is also a great support to his allies. So he's an all-round balanced character with solid damage and solid support. In this example, we'll be using the team of Gavus, Jerome, Scarlet, Lavatune, and Rain. Gavus synergizes really well with this team because it is a team that wants to get towards a setup, and his delayed entry and the damage reduction that everyone takes during that entry really allows us to set up. Now we have Jerome in here as our sustain / buffing unit, fantastic for these purposes. Then we have Scarlet. Scarlet is our main DPS alongside our Gavus, who will also deal quite a decent bit of damage. Scarlet's job, as always, is to just destroy the enemy as fast as possible with her amazing ultimate. Then we have Lavatune. Now Lavatune is one of the core supports in here who synergizes so well with Gavus. Because Gavus' slow entry into the battlefield allows all the allies to survive, this lets Lavatune set up his first ultimate, which gets his large stage on board and allows everyone to benefit from those buffs. And as soon as we get into that, then we have Scarlet able to use her ultimate as well, and the entry timing of Gavus is just perfect. The final member of the team is Rain. She is here to buff our damage, but also to generate a ton more energy for the team when we start killing enemies that have the marks. Gavus also has great synergies with Eugene as their skills do pair together, but we do go over that in the Eugene video, so be sure to check that one out as well. As for collections on Gavus, the Captive Wings is fantastic, especially if you can get it to 2-star. However, if you do only have it at 1-star, that is still perfectly fine. So with all that out of the way, how far do we want to invest into Gavus? Now, he is a very powerful awakened hero, and normally if you're going investment on an awakened hero, you want to go all the way. However, if you are short on resources, you can stop him at 20 signature item, 3 furniture, and 30 engraving, and he should function still pretty well depending on how you're using him in your team. If you're using him alongside another damage dealer, then this lower investment is fine because those extra upgrades more focus on giving him extra damage, and if you do have someone else bringing the damage to the team, they're not as necessary. However, as always with every character, the more investment you give them, the stronger they will be. So that's going to be it for Gavus, a very unique hero that allows you to play the game a little bit differently due to his delayed entry into the battle. So build him and have fun. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.